Now some comments on my nomination saga. I am glad for this opportunity because for me, one of the greatest costs of confirmation limbo was the forced silence and inaction. Nominees are told, for understandable reasons, not to make any public statements, no speeches, no op-eds, no blogs, no talking to reporters, not even any boring law review articles that nobody reads. So in fact, this is my first public appearance in a year and a half. So first, I'd like to say thank you to the many people who worked for my confirmation. Marge Baker, Wade Henderson, Walter Dellinger. Wish I had more time to mention more people, but you'll be grateful. I'm going to stop there with the names. I do want to say, even in my most frustrating moments, seeing and hearing about so many dedicated public servants, so many people I consider both friends and heroes, were focusing on how to secure my confirmation was an honor that I am deeply touched by and I will never forget. I also want to thank everyone toiling away at OLC this many months, particularly the outstanding leadership there that I was so proud to have had a hand in selecting, led by David Barron and Marty Lederman, with whom I also worked on President Obama's transition team. I know they agree with me that it is long past time for OLC to have a confirmed Assistant Attorney General. In fact, 6 long years past time. Clap for that one. So just after my withdrawal, the New York Times wrote a very positive editorial about why I should have been confirmed. But the editorial concluded by decrying a potential chilling lesson of my ill treatment for people considering government service. Quote, "Don't stand on principle and certainly don't speak out in public." Close quote. I appreciate and I understand the intentions and the sentiment behind this concern, but I want to make clear that is not the lesson I want anyone to draw from my experience. My biography should hardly be used as an example of why you should not stand on principle or speak out in public. First of all, being willing to stand on principle and fight for liberties that were at times controversial has not hurt me professionally, quite the opposite. I know that the very work that some find controversial has helped me professionally. I have had the privilege of working with some of the most dedicated and honorable people in our profession or any profession, including Walter Dellinger, Janet Reno, Kate Michelman, Richard Cudahy, and many, many others. Standing up for the right to privacy did not prevent a past administration from having me serve as acting Assistant Attorney General running OLC. And continuing to fight for the rule of law over the last decade did not prevent a new president from choosing me to return to head OLC, nor did it deter a majority of the Senate from supporting me. Make no mistake, though, I do feel that the nearly unprecedented delay of my nomination was wrong. But as to whether I would have changed any of my positions or softened my stances or decided to just sit out a few issues, my message could not be more clear or more simple. I have no regrets. Now, to those young lawyers out there who might look at my experience and nonetheless still wonder if they are making a mistake by taking strong public stands on upholding our Constitution, I say this. In the current climate, even if you attempt a crass political calculus about how to live your life, you may as well say what you think, because they can always find a footnote to twist and distort in a 20-year-old brief. In my case, it was footnote 23 in the 1989 Webster case. Now, whatever you think about that footnote, it was a damn good brief. Just 3 years out of law school, I had the privilege to write it with civil rights greats Judy Lichtman, Marcia Greenberger, and 8 others on behalf of 77 organizations committed to upholding Roe v. Wade at a time when the court seemed poised to overrule Roe. I remember the thrill when Linda Greenhouse selected excerpts of the brief to publish in the New York Times, and 2 law journals published the brief in its entirety. Most of all, I recall the pride and the deep sense of purpose in being even a small part of something as big as helping to hold off a major reversal in our nation's commitment to the right to privacy. Now, do you think for one... Do you think for one moment I wish that I had sat that fight out due to caution and calculation? Not a chance, not for a moment, not on your life. So, of course, the real lesson is, my real point here, is one should not live one's life deciding whether or how to write such briefs based on crass political judgments about possible future political payoffs. You should stand on principle and speak out because that is simply the right thing to do. It's the best and deepest tradition of lawyers and others fighting for the rule of law and the rights of those without political power. It's the foundation of this organization, of ACS. It's also the patriotic thing to do, and it's the way for our great nation to achieve its potential. So I recall a welcoming speech in my first days of law school that urged us always to keep in mind the passionate commitments and the plans that we all wrote about in our law school admissions essays. We were warned, this was maybe the first day at Yale Law School, we were warned the one thing you didn't want people saying at your funeral was, "She went to her grave with her options open." As you all know, a nominee spends days upon weeks upon months gathering together everything you ever wrote or said and then putting it all out there for public scrutiny. Yes, you suffer a bit through having to be silent in the midst of the distortion about who you are and what you said, but on the whole, I found that forced review of my career surprisingly satisfying. It reinforced for me how fortunate and blessed my life has been. I have loved every professional experience, my varied professional experiences as a government lawyer, including heading up OLC, as an academic, writing about, among other things, executive power, including trying to make sure that OLC lives up to its best traditions, and as an advocate for women and Roe versus Wade. Throughout it all, I've had countless opportunities to work with committed and inspiring lawyers. Some here tonight, many others who are not here physically but are aligned with us in spirit, on issues about which we care deeply, in ways that brought the promise of making a difference, of promoting justice and the rule of law. In the end, none of us can hope for more than that. So I'm going to end with the hope for many more such opportunities in the years ahead, and with a special plea to the young lawyers and law students among us. I'm talking directly to you, leaders of tomorrow, gathered here in this room with us tonight. We are counting on you to stand on principle, to speak out loudly and with conviction. Our bright future depends upon it. Thank you.